Hello and welcome to the Backman Report, where Fred Altvater and I check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, hi, how are you today?
Hey, Carlos, I'm great. Watched a lot of the Walker Cup over the weekend. That was really good stuff. We're going to talk about that in another video after a while. But yeah, it's starting to warm up a little bit here in northern Michigan. It's, during the up in the 50s during the day. I did get out and play a little golf over the weekend as well with one of the grandkids. So good time up here. It's, springtime in northern Michigan.
So you call warming up going in the 50s?
That's it. It's still freezing every night. This morning when I got up it was 28 degrees. So the tulips are trying to come up. They're all tight. They won't. They say, "Oh, it's too cold. I'm not opening up in this crap."
They're staying warm. No way. I'm keeping
Exactly.
close. I'm keeping close. Yeah, no, that's we have a front, a cold front right now. And actually, if you hear any thunder, disclaimer, that's why. I mean, I'm in the middle of Tornado Alley, so gotta get used to this. But anyway, Fred, today we're gonna be talking about the Premier Golf League, and
I thought it was
we
dead.
thought
What are you talking about? I thought that thing was dead.
everybody thought so, but apparently, finally, there's a PGL CEO. There is a CEO. It's Andrew Gardiner, former executive for the Barclays Capital. He finally talked about what he says it's going to be. Okay, he talked on Friday on a podcast there, and he was explaining to the Rick Shields Golf Show podcast, and let us a little bit onto what that is going to be. Okay, so he told us, hey, it's going to be about the world's 48 best players. At least that's his hope, right? To have to play in 18 events. 10 are going to be in the US, 3 in Asia, 1 in Australia, 1 in the Middle East, in both individual and team format. The tournaments will be 3 rounds with the first 2 shotgun starts for a purse of $10 million. So there will be 10 million weekly, right? Potentially, he's seen like a relegation format for players. So like is being famous right now in professional soccer across the globe. Now, that aspect about the team is something we didn't expect or we didn't know about, because he's saying that there's going to be a team principal that will be putting just 2 of his 4 golfers' scores to count toward what is going to be the team total that will count in the ending event that is going to be worth $40 million. My goodness. I mean, he was just
10
talking about
million, 20 million, 50 million. Oh my goodness. Oh my. If you got enough money, you can just throw it around like it's, candy, I guess.
yeah, I mean, they have it. And apparently, contrary to what everybody else has been saying, or at least the players or the other tours, they do have sponsors. Of course, they're not going to say who they are. I mean, and we'll talk about a little bit about that, but there's sponsors lining up to give up this money. Now, here's what happens. Immediately before that, and this comes, he says that he has heard all the comments that Rory McIlroy did, that apparently Jay Monahan did, because this is according to sources. Last Tuesday at the Wells Fargo Championship, Jay Monahan told the players, look, here it is. Simple. You join, you don't play here, you're banned immediately. There's no way you're going to play on the majors or the Ryder Cup. Rory McIlroy came and say, I don't know how anybody could join that. Okay. He is, of course, I mean, he's the newly minted chairman of the Players Advisory Council. So he's not going to deviate from the PGA Tour's message, but it's fair to say he's been pretty consistent on this. He's always been saying, look, I'm more about the legacy and my history rather than earning money. Now, that comes from one of the top earning players right now on the PGA Tour, right? Webb Simpson and JT didn't have such harsh words like Rory McIlroy did, but they did also decline, saying, look, I'm more here about playing and earning majors and doing records and all this and the money. So, Fred, first thing, the PGL is alive. Jay Monahan is definitely taking this threat seriously. Otherwise, he would have not said straight up, look, you're banned, you're not going to play here if you go there. So we haven't heard that kind of a condemnation from the European Tour. But where do you think this is going?
Hey, you know what? I really thought that when the PGA Tour did their little buy-in thing to the European Tour with the $90 million, and so they've kind of joined forces and kind of rounded up the wagons here, that they had kind of fought off this kind of takeover kind of thing, hostile takeover by the PGL. But evidently, the PGL just went back, they regrouped, and they're coming back at them again with even more money. Sources say that they've gone at Dustin Johnson, Justin Rose, Phil Mickelson with $30 million guaranteed for them to come. So if they're only playing like 14, 15 events, is that what you said? Something like that. You're only playing 48 guys. Your odds of winning are greater because you're only playing against 48 guys rather than 140. You're playing less events to make as much money. So it's your job. If you can work less hours and make more money, what are you going to do? Well, that's all well and good, but let's break this down a little bit more, Carlos. So the PGA Tour has 46 events every year. They pretty much got a full calendar. Yeah, they got 200, 250 guys playing at different times, in and out. Then you got the Korn Ferry Tour and all the other stuff. But just let's concentrate on the PGA Tour. And they're playing for a total of about $360 million. $360 million, okay? 46 events. Oh, yeah, don't forget, we got the majors in there. So let's break that down. Now, Mana says, oh, you can't play in the majors. Well, maybe you can't play in the players. Maybe you can't play, I don't know, who's going to keep you out of the U.S. Open if you qualify? Who's going to keep you out of the Open Championship if you qualify? Who's going to keep you out of the Masters if they ask you? Okay? They have no control over the majors. He can't say that, all right? Because those are all independent. They're PGA Tour sanctioned. They let the PGA Tours play there, but they don't control who gets in. The PGA Tour doesn't control who gets in. They're opens, okay? So that's one thing, okay? So you can't play in PGA Tour events. So, and the only thing that really matters on that are maybe the WGCs and the players. Now, the other factor here, Carlos, so we're playing for $360 million, and then they're playing for another, $160 or $170 million in the FedEx Cup, okay? And that's the top 125 that start getting bonuses in that. Actually, 150 start getting bonuses in that. The 125 actually make the playoffs. The top 30 make really big money, and the top guy is playing for 15 million bucks. So we're seeing the top guys on the PGA Tour every year making 15, 18, 20, $25 million, okay? So when you say, okay, I'm going to give you 30 million guaranteed, that's a pretty good deal, but the PGA Tour is paying pretty good money as well. So the other part of this then is sponsor money. Is the PGA, if you're going to play on the PGL, as the Titleist, is TaylorMade, is Callaway, Adidas, all these people, are they going to pay the kind of money, sponsorship money, to play on the PGL as they pay to pay on the PGA Tour? Are the eyeballs, they have the television contracts that the PGA Tour has? I don't think so. So we see these guys making 15, 18, $20 million on the PGA Tour just in prize money. That's only about a third or a fifth of what they're really making. If they're making $10 million, you can probably multiply that by 5. They're making another $50, $60 million just on sponsor money. So now we're talking about $60, $70 million playing on the PGA Tour versus a $30 million guaranteed on the PGL. To me, it's a no-brainer. You got to play the PGA Tour. They might be able to get some second-tier guys, but I don't see him getting the big names, Carlos. Maybe a Phil Mickelson, who's at the end of his career, wants to go over there and make a big deal and grab a bunch of cash quick. But I just don't see a Rory or a Justin Rose or, Justin Thomas or any of those guys going over there and playing in that thing. Do you?
I do. And here's the thing, and you started to mention a key to it. There's only one major that the PGA Tour controls and can say you're not going to play on it. Now, that's easy to say, because all three other opens are going to be like, okay, do we follow the PGA Tour's lead? If they start saying, well, we're not going to sanction it, doesn't matter anyway, because anybody can go and play it. It's just that the PGA Tour can say, hey, it's not going to count against my rankings here, or the FedEx Cup playoffs, or the FedEx Cup finally, the points. I'm not going to sanction it, so it's not going to count against that. But here's the thing. You're talking about this $50 million, that just only the top tier players. We're not talking about those players. If you discount the top 10, which is the ones that are going to be making the top money, anybody below that is very attracted to this right now. I mean, they have to be at least listening. I know that the top players right now are saying, yeah, I don't think so. But there's one thing also the PGL has said that their schedule, which is only 18 events, 48 players, really see 54 whole, that's it. It's not going to be 72. Easy for these players to go out there and play. It's not going to conflict against the majors. So if the majors, they want to play them, they're going to be available for it. It's only 18 events. What Rory initially said last year when we started to talk about this, when it started to get a lot of traction, was that he was saying, like, they're not flexible in me letting me pick my events. That was, and I remember this very clearly. There's no flexibility in you picking up the events. That was what his main concern at the time was. Now, look, it's just 18 events. If you just pick your events, then in the other tours, if the PGA Tour would ever come back and say, sure, let's do something, which would take some agreement, some negotiation to come, which is what I think is going to come down to, because there's going to
They're
be,
going to
like
want to
you're
get their
saying,
percentage. They're going to want
of
to get a
course,
percentage.
that's the reason why they haven't allowed this to happen,
Yeah.
because they know
Yeah.
that if they go, they lose their golden goose, and they're
Yeah.
not going to have their
Yeah.
sponsors. They're going to be saying, okay, why am I paying you so much when you don't have your top players on it?
Yeah.
So the reason is because they need their cut on it, and the European Tour right now has not condemned them. I think they. Well, first of all, the European Tour doesn't have the top players such as the PGA Tour has.
And they need the money. They need the money.
They do, but the thing is that what are they going to say? If you go there, you're not going to play here. No, they don't. They could broker a deal as well and say, look, let's do it. I can send my players. They can play there. There's no problem. They do really need the money. It's the PGA Tour, definitely a war of sponsorships. I'm going to lose my money if this happens. But you mentioned one big name there, Phil Mickelson. Yeah, he's not at the top of his game. He's in the 50 and overs right now that he could play there if he wanted to. And he could easily said, you know what? I'm not going to win any more majors. I don't care about playing there. I'm right now at this moment in his point in his career, there's no more legacy for him to do. Honestly, Phil Mickelson, you're not going to win any more majors. There's nothing more in history that you're going to make. Okay, so what are you going to do? I'll play for the money now. Look, I'll help the PG. I'll even help them build the PGL. Okay, I think he's going to be the first one that is going to say, yes, let me go do it. I don't see it this year, but I think that maybe eventually he's going to be that first one. And yeah, second tier, third tier guys are going to be the ones that are going to say, look, I really want the money. I want to play for this. That's how it's all going to start. But once that starts to get going, and the players start seeing the top players, there are going to be some that are going to say, look, the money's just too much. And they're going to talk in that player advisory council with Rory McIlroy and everybody else. And they're going to say, look, we got to do something. These people are earning that much money. I want in as well. Money talks.
Carlos, I think this comes back. I think the answer is, and we talked about this last February, the World Golf Tour, the PGA Tour can do this. The European Tour, they can do this in a heartbeat. You lined it out. We had it all graphed. It's perfect. They could do this. They could counteract this in a heartbeat and get their sponsors to up their contributions and bring in more sponsors to cover the opposite field events that they could have. They could have some really good stuff, and these guys could play these big events, make this big money, and you would drive the PGL right out. To me, that's the perfect answer, and we talked about it a year ago.
I think it does, and definitely that would be the answer. You eliminate the PGL right out, and definitely a world tour. You bring all those sponsors that are there lining up. Hey, European Tour and PGA Tour, let's get together. Let's talk to those sponsors that are out there. Let's come on. Let's do a world tour. Let's bring in those $10 million every week for those world tour events. And hey, you got it out. That's it. you're sanctioning them, everybody's happy, and the PGL, bye bye. So anyway, Fred, anything closing on this before we move on?
No, really good discussion. And we, several months ago, 6 months ago, we thought this thing was dead and over and buried, and it comes back around again. I don't know if it can get any traction. It's sure interesting to watch and think about and talk about. But like I keep coming back to it, Carlos. What we talked about last year, a World Golf Tour. I think now's the time for them to put that baby together and get it going, and keep these guys where you want them.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen is this is going to drive some change, some very much needed change on the PGA Tour and the European Tour, trying to bring up that level of competition and also how the money's shared all throughout. But anyway, thank you for joining us. And for more of information like this, golf news and information, subscribe to our channel. Well, you'll get all those videos right away. Also, follow our show on Twitter. It's at Back9 Report. The number 9 is in the middle. So thank you for joining us.